Hello, good evening, and warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, be calm and refrain from disinvesting your financial instruments. That's the advice coming from the Director of Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research to investors as Moody's downgrades Ghana's long-term issuer ratings to further junk status and changed the outlook to stable.
I would urge all investors, I would urge everybody to be calm. There shouldn't be any rush to disinvest or let's be calm and things will kick in nicely.
Also, Chamber of Telecommunications describes impact on revenues as the National Communications Authority is set to block over 5 million unregistered mobile subscribers by tomorrow. Chief Executive Dr. Ken Ashigbe will join us live for more updates. I am Pious Kojo Backah. Let's now look at our stories. Be calm and refrain from disinvesting your financial instruments. That's the advice coming from Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Quartey, to investors. This is coming after Moody's downgraded Ghana's long-term issuer ratings to further junk status and changed the outlook to stable. Now, this concludes the review of downgrade that was initiated in September 30th, 2022. Now, Professor Peter Quartey spoke earlier on the marketplace.
I would have thought by now they have been very swift and decisive in communicating what this entails. Unfortunately for us, we are being fed on speculations. You hear there's no haircut, then some also say there will be some haircut. And the finance market doesn't like noise. It does not like noise at all. It does not like opaqueness, lack of information. It will feed on speculation, and that is not good for us. We have investors, we have pension fund holders who have invested their lifetime funds, earnings, and would like to know what exactly, how much loss they are going to suffer. Because mind you, some have invested and they are living on their returns, their interest. And for them, it's very critical. Some depend on this to fund medication, hospital bills, etc. So it is very critical that this is communicated. I don't think this should take more than a week for us to come up with this debt treatment policy. It is taking too long in my view.
And do you think this downgrade will trigger some further downgrades from other rating agencies?
I think so. The other rating agencies would also react because this is a very major change that we are sending to the market. But you see, again, as I mentioned, the outlook looks stable because we are likely to get into a fund program. And I believe government has been working assiduously with the IMF to get this fund program on board. So once that comes, then the recovery would also kick in. So I would urge all investors, I would urge everybody to be calm. There shouldn't be any rush to disinvest or let's be calm and things will kick in nicely. Otherwise, it will not augur well for us. I believe with the fund program, we are likely to have some stability. We are likely to have progress as we proceed in the coming days.
More on the economy, and tax partner at PwC, Abeku Kwanza, is pushing for the revision of value-added tax among other key policy measures, arguing they are simply not working. He believes most of the levies introduced are not in compliance with the Earmarking Funds and Realignment Act. Speaking at the post-budget forum, Abeku Kwanza called for the composition of the Independent Tax Appeals Board to settle the tax disputes between businesses and the GRA. There is more in the following report. Speaking at the PwC 2023 post-budget forum, tax partner at PwC, Abeku Kwanza, called for the revision of the tax laws, arguing they are simply not working.
Let's reform the VAT. The VAT is simply not working. We can have a standard accumulative VAT rate of 20% and make a claim for it totally. Government have talked about the Realignment Act. And I wish somebody had really called the attention of government that the levies and things that you are doing is not in compliance with is not in compliance with the Earmarking Funds and Realignment Act. And why am I saying this? That act essentially says that when we earmark funds, government can move the funds to certain places. So what is the need to have all these separate levies and christen them? It just does not work. So please let us go back and comply with the spirit of the Realignment Act.
Executive member of AGI, Charles Ituahini, who was a panelist at the forum, expressed worry about the increase in VAT, saying they are too aggressive, which could stifle their growth.
How long am I going to claim money that I have invested in the capital item? Because the foreign exchange lawsuit regime means that we are throwing away more cash. Liquidity is going out. Now my cash is going away, and you say I should still add back and start again give you cash. Where am I going to get the cash from and pay the tax?
On her part, Deputy Minister of Finance Abnasir Asari stated that these tax measures are aimed at restoring macroeconomic stability in the short to medium term.
It was prepared in the context of an ongoing IMF negotiation. And 3, it was prepared with a view to bringing our debt levels to a sustainable level. So looking at all these things, and government wanting to help the economy stabilize first and then transform, certainly you will see some measures that we need to put in place to make sure we achieve this. So looking at the context in which the budget was prepared and the current situation in which we are facing and where we want to get to, promote macroeconomic stability, promote growth and support the vulnerable.
But Associate Professor at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Charles Backah, believes government must focus heavily on agriculture to bring the economy back on track. Meanwhile, senior partner at PwC, Visha Shangbo, is urging businesses to be innovative in this austere moment to stay competitive in the market.
Look, I mean, we're in a difficult period and none of us can escape those difficulties. So there's stress on businesses, no doubt. That stress will, in some way, shape or form, find its way to the consumer, right? At this point in time, businesses really have to think critically and be innovative as to how they can achieve cost efficiencies and how they can leverage on whatever competitive advantage that they have in the market to grow their business. Because these are not normal times, these are difficult times, and ultimately, you need to get through this difficult time to see tomorrow, right?
The PwC 2023 Post-Budget Forum brought together various players in the economy. And now to one of our headline story. And the National Communications Authority, under the directive of the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, is set to block over 5 million mobile subscribers who are yet to register their SIM cards with a Ghana card by end of today. Now, already, some subscribers are pleading with the government to extend the deadline. Joining us via Zoom for more is the Chief Executive of the Telecommunications Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, to help us appreciate this and, of course, what the impact will be on the Chamber. Now, grateful you could join us, Doc, for your time this evening. How is the latest move going to affect members of the Chamber? Kindly unmute for me, Doc.
Yeah, sorry. So it's not just about affecting members of the chamber. So you're talking about 5 million?
Yes,
exactly. There will be almost 9 million subscribers who would be impacted because since the 20th of November, the MNOs under the directive of the Minister for Communication and Digitalization have barred data services to subscribers who have done only the first phase. That is, they have linked their Ghana cards to their mobile numbers, but they have not done the second phase by doing the biometric capture. And since that has been done, we've seen about just 1% of the 9 million or so that were barred having gone ahead to do the biometric capture. So that from the end of day today, services such as voice, data, and when it comes to data, it's not only data on your phone, but MiFis, dongles, any data provisioning device would also be barred. You'll not be able to get data services on it. You'll not be able to get SMS services, you also not be able to do even your mobile money as well. And so that's what is going to happen. And so the numbers we're talking about is quite colossal, about 9 million.
And talking about the numbers, we know that 9 million is quite significant. Of what impact do you think this is going to have on your revenue and, of course, your payment of taxes?
Well, the thing about it is that if you consider that in Ghana, the average revenue per user is around 20 cedis, that if you do the math per month, if you do the math, you know, that can tell you how much of a revenue loss that is going to be. But you should also bear in mind that, you know, all of these for every data you consume, any airtime you buy, you also pay CST and other taxes to government. And so that's definitely going to be also a major loss to government at this particular time where, you know, we have this deficit going on and, you know, government really requires, you know, revenue. So that also would mean, you know, the physical impact on government revenue itself is also going to be significant. And so we would only hope that for those who have the Ghana card, who have done the first phase of the registration, they would be able to go to any of the MNO offices or use the app to be able to complete the registration process so that the services could be restored for them.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We'll leave it here and, of course, follow up subsequently in other bulletins. Ken Ashigbe is the Chief Executive of the Telecommunications Chamber speaking to us there. Away from that, the Bank of Ghana says it will ensure players within the fintech ecosystem comply with the rules to ensure financial inclusion. According to the head of licensing and product approval, Fintech and Innovation Office at the Bank of Ghana, Nancy Imandi, the central bank will provide a robust regulatory framework to protect consumers within the space. She spoke to Joy Business at the 10th edition of the Tech in Ghana conference.
The central bank said it is expecting players within the fintech space to export their innovative solutions to other parts of the continent. Nancy Imadi said there is the need to have digital financial solutions to solve indigenous problems.
What we are trying to solve here is for us to have digital financial solutions that solve authentic Ghanaian problems. Let us solve our own problems with the own innovations that we are bringing out with. And so we want to see innovation that will come up to positively disrupt the ecosystem, but also ultimately solve problems within our space as a country. And so we are waiting to see these innovations, we are waiting to see these business models, we are waiting to meet up with all these immature startups and innovators in the space.
At the event, Group Africa Director for TapTapSend, Mauto Abraham, reiterated the need for more investment within the Ghanaian fintech space.
We should really look at it and think whether e-levy is the right form of tax to raise more revenue. If you want to raise revenue, I think you can raise more revenue from other sources than the e-levy, and we should be looking at that and thinking what we can do. No matter the reduction, because even if you bring it to 0.5%, it's still a tax, okay? It's a tax on money that people have already paid tax on, and you may not want to do that because there's other tax sources, other revenue sources that you can use to raise revenue and generate revenue for the country without having to tax money that's been moved. And
President for the Ghana Fintech and Payments Association, Martin Awaga, called for the scrap of the electronic transaction levy, indicating that it's affecting their operations.
Fintechs were exacerbated as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And after the COVID-19 pandemic, we haven't seen a slowdown in the operations of fintechs or financial technology firms. And as such, there's a huge knowledge gap in terms of developers, in terms of people with the tech knowledge or financial technology knowledge to be able to, as it were, leverage on the opportunities we have in the technology space to reach the last mile, which is financial inclusion. And basically, that is the end goal of fintechs operating in Ghana.
Tech in Ghana is the leading UK-Ghana platform dedicated to strengthen and showcase Ghana's tech ecosystem.
You're still watching Business Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Pious Kojo Backah, still to come. And that's it for Business Live for tonight. I am Pious Kojo Backah. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business We have some great stories lined up for you. Moody's downgrades Ghana to further junk status, warns investors could lose in debt restructuring. Also on that portal, adopt consultative approach before implementing 2023 budget, KPMG to government. We've got a great lineup for you there. You can visit the site and abreast yourself with the latest in the world of business. Great for serving you. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.